In this video, we're going to be talking about one of the most important practices you'll ever learn in your journey to financial freedom, saving. Hey, what's going on? If you haven't joined us before, I'm Eamon, and I want to answer the question of how much money should you be saving each month? Actually, make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'll be arming you with practical tips for building a profitable savings culture. I'll also show you exactly what you have to do if you can't afford to save at all. Let's begin by moving from the known to the unknown. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule, right? Well, if you haven't, the 50-30-20 rule is a budgeting method that was made popular by US Senator Elizabeth Warren and her daughter Amelia Warren Tyagi in their book, All You're Worth: The Ultimate Lifetime Money Plan. Now, don't think this is a hard and fast rule, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. But understanding the 50-30-20 rule can really revolutionize how you spend and save. The rule is a product of more than 20 years of research by Senator Warren. So you can say it's a very reliable principle to live by. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. According to the 50-30-20 rule, your after-tax income should be divided into three major categories. The first will be your needs, the second will be your wants, and final will be your savings or your debts. So let's talk about your needs. These are expenses you simply cannot avoid. There's no way around them. This is where you have your monthly rent, electricity bills, your gas bills, transportation, insurances, loan repayments, as well as your basic groceries. For these important expenses, you need enough money allocated to take care of them since you can't fully function without them. This is why they demand a whopping 50% of your income. But what if your needs are taking up way more than 50% of your after-tax income? If this is your situation, then you might want to consider ways to bring down these expenses. You could look for a cheaper apartment, subscribe to a more affordable energy provider, or find ways to get a better bang for your buck when you go grocery shopping. You know your living situation best. You're in the best position to know what's possible and what's not. If you're living way below your means and 50% of your income still can't cover your needs, then you need a different solution. I suggest you keep watching to see my recommendations on that. Now, let's talk about your wants. Wants are your non-essentials. They're not exactly basic needs and you can't do without them, but they're nice to have. Wants can include gym membership, vacations, subscriptions for streaming services, groceries that are not the essentials, clothes, etc. You should not feel guilty about spending your money on wants as long as your expenses are within reasonable limits. By the way, if you're confused about the difference between a need and a want, ask yourself if you can live without said item. If you can't, it's a need. If you can, then it's a want. So for example, you can live without new clothes or HBO. Would life be better with them? Sure. But if push comes to shove, you know you can live without them. A roof over your head, on the other hand, is a need because you cannot live without one. Finally, we have the third category, which is for your savings or debt repayment, if you have any outstanding debt. Minimum repayments are typically categorized as needs, but if you pay a little more than the minimum month to month, you can repay your loans much quicker and avoid compiling interest. So, in a sense, you can classify them as savings. Whatever the case though, saving 20% of your income every month can help you build a decent nest egg that could save your life one day. A surefire way to keep yourself motivated to keep saving is to have a goal towards which you're saving. Your goal could be a down payment for your dream home, your retirement fund, an emergency fund. The beautiful thing is that savings can add up pretty quickly. So if you begin now, in just a year from now, you might be shocked just how much you'd have gathered. That said, our focus in this video is on savings. We're gonna spend the rest of the video talking about this 20% and your saving culture. The first thing you should know is that 20% is not a magic number. Neither is it a one-size-fits-all. We are all in different financial situations, and therefore, what we are able to save will differ from one person to another. For example, if you earn a high salary, 20% should be easy peasy, but it might be smarter to save much higher than 20% since you can afford to live comfortably without the extra. This would involve depriving yourself of certain luxuries and keeping your expenses lower than you can afford. But this way you can meet your financial goals much faster and maybe even retire earlier than you planned. Now, that's on one hand. What if, on the other hand, you simply can't save 20% of your income and survive? Well, don't give up and don't beat yourself up. Don't deprive yourself of the necessities just because you want to save. Keep in mind that saving something is better than saving nothing at all. So it's okay to adjust that figure until it's something achievable for you, even if that number is 1% for a start. Nevertheless, it's important to add here that 20% or higher remains the target if you want to have a financially secure old age. So even if you can afford to only save 1% of your current income, you might want to consider looking out for a better job or seeking extra ways to earn extra income so you can become financially independent sometime in the future. By the way, to be financially independent means that you no longer have to work to meet your needs because you have more than enough either in your savings or in investments. But again, enough can be quite ambiguous because we all have different financial situations and goals. There are many satisfied with very little. Others want to live large, and yet others are quite okay to be somewhere in the middle. So definitely having enough will vary across the spectrum. Wherever you fall on the spectrum, the 4% rule can be a good guide to help you calculate how much money you need to have saved up to be financially independent. So what is the 4% rule? The 4% rule is quite simple. You know you have enough saved up if you can withdraw 4% of your principal balance every year and live comfortably on it for the rest of your life. If we follow this rule, it means that your target for financial independence should be 25 times whatever your current yearly expenses are. Once again, this is not a rigid rule because there are several factors that could arise. For one, there's inflation. Each increase in inflation rates reduces the spending power and worth of any money you have saved up. So even when you think you've saved enough, you might still have to live below your means upon retirement because of inflation. Another issue is that your investment could actually perform better than you expect. And while that's great for your savings, it could have an adverse effect on your happiness. Be that as it may, for all its gaps here and there, the 4% rule is still a good one to plan with. Just be willing to make adjustments as things happen so that in the end, your financial goals do not suffer. Alright, so now that we have our work cut out for us, we need to save 25 times our current expenses if we want to be financially independent. Now, how long is that going to take us? Well, that would depend on how much you can afford to set aside each month from your after-tax income. For instance, if you do 20%, then you're looking at the next 30 years. So depending on how old you are now, you might reach your target of financial independence by the time you're 50 or 60-ish. Let's up that to 50% savings. Saving 50% of your after-tax income monthly will make you financially independent in 20 years. And finally, if you do 90%, then in about 15 years, you should be ready to retire. Keep in mind that all these calculations are based on the assumptions that your investment is generating an average annual return of 8%. And that's realistic considering how most diversified investment portfolios have performed historically. That said, the good thing about saving these days is that there are many opportunities you can take advantage of to boost your savings and retire with even more than you expect. One advantage you really want to consider is a Roth IRA. If you qualify for a Roth IRA account, please don't pass up the opportunity to use it. Here's how such accounts work. When you contribute to a Roth IRA, that contribution is taxed. But when you start to make your withdrawals during your retirement, those withdrawals won't be taxed. So make sure to consider a Roth IRA. Another thing to consider is a 401k plan. If you're finding that it's really painful to save up 20%, try a 401k. Some employers will match whatever you put into a 401k by at least 5%. That's an offer to take advantage of because it means that you can now save less than you might have initially planned. So check out your options for a 401k, and you might not even need to save up 20% of your income. Plus, money from a 401k is removed from your paycheck before taxes, so this can save you some after-tax cash. However, there's a catch. Unlike with the Roth IRA, you'll have to pay taxes when you begin to make withdrawals. so keep that in mind. Since we're here, let's see in practical terms what getting 20% will look like. If you make $1,200 a month, then your after-tax income is $1,000. Following the 20% rule, you should be saving 20% of your after-tax income, which is $200. Say you decide to move 5% of your savings allocations to a 401k and your employer already matches that. Already, you have that $120 saved up. Now, all you have to do to add to that is just $80. You can split that in half and put 40 in a Roth IRA towards your retirement, while the other half could go into an emergency fund. So, as you can see, it gets easier to save 20% when you factor in all these benefits that you can take advantage of. Wrapping up, you can turbocharge your savings by putting your money away in smart places. One excellent place to save your money, especially if you've not created your emergency fund yet, is a high-yield savings account. Unlike normal checking accounts, high-yield savings accounts are more lucrative because, as their name suggests, they give higher interest rates than checking accounts. But let's one-up that. High-yield savings accounts are great, but investing your money is even better. You can't compare how much you can earn from investing your money to how much you'd earn from saving in a high-yield account. So, speak with a financial advisor and work out a plan that helps you diversify your investment and save up enough for your future. Remember that the goal is to start saving something, however little it may be. Even if all you can afford right now is 1%, begin with that, and then work your way up to saving more. Slowly but surely, you'll get to that financially secure future you've always dreamed of. Hope all this info helped. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you guys in the next video.